I have trouble walking downhill with my knees. They hurt and they feel like they're going to give out. Do you have any exercises to work on this? Now, while I do have some exercises to work on this, I first wanted to talk about your mechanics, because so often I find the biggest issue that people have when they're doing incline, so whether it's hiking or just walking up and down a hill, is how they're doing it, more than having enough strength. Strength is kind of secondary, so you've got to be able to do it correctly, and then you want to build up your strength so that you can do it even better. When you're going forward, and for most people going down is much more of an issue than going up, but in both directions you want to be leaning slightly forward, and you want your toes to face the direction that you're going. You don't want your feet to be going out to the side. You don't want your knees turning in. We want everything going one direction. Our knees are a hinge joint, which means they go one way. They don't like to twist. They don't like to go sideways, so don't ask them to do that. That is most of the time when people actually get that instability feeling like your leg's gonna give out, is not as much when it's straight, but when you have something at an awkward direction and that knee isn't really designed to do that. So going uphill, you want to walk toes forward, slight lean. And you want to make sure you're using your butt muscles and your quad muscles, the front of your thighs and those glutes. Those are your big mover muscles. Now, coming down, you want to keep, again, those toes going straight down, going forward. Now, you're also going to lean slightly forward. For anyone who has ever downhill skied, it is the same mechanics, same principles. If you're downhill skiing and you get back on your heels, you're going to go faster, more out of control, have more trouble. When you get your weight forward, now you have a good force going into the ground, and it actually makes you more stable. In walking, your knees and your back will appreciate it as well. A lot of times people have fear about falling, and going downhill kind of feeds right into that uncertainty, and so they tend to lean back. But if you're trying to walk downhill and your center of mass is behind you, your knees have to work really hard to keep you up, and we want to make that easier for them. So we're going to shift our weight forward and make ourselves more stable, and then you can work your way down. Again, my toes are going forward. For everyone who likes to do some sort of version of a weird side step down, this is hard on your knees, on your back, and a lot of times is going to be less safe than walking straight down the hill. Now, there are occasions where that can be helpful, but for the most part, you want to really try and stay going forward. Now, if you need a little extra balance support, walking sticks, very helpful. Trekking poles, whatever you want to call them. So you want to have that 90-degree angle to make sure that they fit you. If they're too low, they're going to cause you to have to lean to reach the ground. You don't want to do that. And we're going to use them opposite foot, opposite arm, which is actually normal walking movement. So as we go up, we're going to go up the hill. Again, I'm using my glutes to lift me up. I'm not trying to hyperextend my knee back. And going down, opposite foot, opposite arm, and they give you balance. You can put your thumb on top, it helps out thumbs. And it also helps cue you to lean a little bit more forward. Now, if you really need to put a lot of weight through them, trekking poles are not the best thing if you're really trying to want to use them more as crutches. So you do want to be careful about that they are more for balance. And with supporting your balance, it actually makes it easier energy-wise. Now, you do have to bring them with you. Some people, I find the coordination of trying to pay attention to what the poles are doing what your feet are doing is just too much. It's too complicated. And so if it's making it more difficult for you, don't use them. Just go with working on the parts you can control. One of my favorite exercises for building up leg strength for things like hiking, incline, stairs, is doing a slow lower. So you want to think about 5 seconds down and then 1 second up. And then we're going to do 5 seconds down, so it's a nice, slow, controlled movement. And then 1 second up. And you should really feel it working in your quads, okay? You want to make sure that your knees are not over your toes. If your knees are over your toes and you can't see them, your knees hate you. You want to bend from your hips, get your butt back, and make those quads, the front of your thighs. That is what you want to burn when you're working. If you're working on strengthening this up, you want to work up to being able to do 2 sets of 10. That is a total of 20 per day. For some of you, that might seem like a ton. That's fine. Just do however many you can do comfortably. So if you're doing 3 to 5 and that's where you're at, great, that's where you're at. You don't want to make yourself really sore. If you're somebody who's really athletic, these are not the ones you want to do 100 of. That will make you really sore and you will not appreciate it. So watch your numbers. These are really great in small doses, but you don't want to overdo them. Now, the one thing I don't want people to do, which a lot of times actually I see people doing, is working on what we call open chain knee extension. So if you've got a weight on your ankle, or if you're not using weights, but just doing active movement, doing this lifting that leg can be really hard on your knee joint, especially if you have knee problems or problems with your kneecap tracking, not the exercise for you. If you're working out of a gym, if they happen to be open where you're at, the machines where you're doing those knee extensions like that, you want to just skip those. You do much better with doing the exercises where your feet are connected to something. So whether it's a leg press, a squat press, or doing the squats and the lowering that I was talking about, those are always going to work better for you. And it gives you a chance to really kind of watch and control that knee position as well to make sure that you're not bringing them together. Definitely don't want to do that. Hopefully some of you are getting out, doing a little bit more hiking, walking, and enjoying some of the spring and summer weather.